Today we're going to be talking about our pre-trip and post-trip workflows. We've changed these up a little bit after changing from the JJ Keller app, going to the DVIR app that we're using, and rereading over through some of the regulations. Just wanted to take the time to clarify some things and put a specific workflow in place so that we're all on the same page. So your pre-trip is going to be done at the start of the day on the heavy-duty test truck. You're going to do your normal pre-trip as you normally would. And part of the pre-trip, according to the regulations, and you can check those at 396.11 on the FMCSA, part of the pre-trip is for you to check the prior day's DVIR if there were defects submitted. So right now, there's not a way for us to see anything from the previous day when we're using the app that we currently use. So what we're going to do in place of that is use text messages. That will be how we notify each other in your branch that drives the heavy-duty test truck, whether you found defects or you did not find defects on your post-trip inspection from the previous day. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. So part of your pre-trip is to check to see if defects were found prior to whoever drove the heavy-duty test truck last. You check your text messages, you see that it's okay to drive, you hop in the truck, you're on your way. You look at your text messages and you see that there was a defect found. That is to alert you at that point that you need to check with your operations manager before driving that day. So once I check with my OEM, he's going to give me one of three things, one of three options. Number one, it's unsafe to drive. We need to take it to the shop. It can't be driven. Number two, defects have not been corrected, but it's safe to drive. Or he's going to say defects have been corrected. If he tells you that defects are not corrected, but it's safe to drive, or that defects have been corrected, you will need to have that OM send you a copy of the DVIR that he received from the driver that shows the defects. He's going to send you that DVIR via PDF, via email, and he's going to sign it. He's going to digitally sign it that defects are either correct or they're not correct, but the truck is safe to drive. He's going to sign as the mechanic and date it. He is then going to send that to you. You are going to be the reviewing driver. You're going to sign off on it and date it and send it back to the manager. You cannot drive that heavy-duty test truck if defects had been found until you go through that process. You have to sign off showing that you reviewed the prior day's defects and that you are okay to drive that vehicle. So once you do that, you can jump in the truck, you carry on throughout your day. So now it's the end of the day, you're ready for your post-trip. You do the same thing you do during a pre-trip, you do your post-trip. And at this point, you say, okay, the truck is still good, there's no defects. Or truck has problems, I need to notify people that defects have been found. No defects, you send a text message to everyone that drives the heavy-duty test truck in your branch, and you say that all is safe, heavy-duty test truck is safe to drive. And that's all you need to do, you can go home. If defects were found, there's problems with the truck, you need to complete the DVIR via the app on your phone. You select all the items that are wrong with the truck, and then you would sign as the binding driver at the end of the day. And then you're going to send a text message to all the techs who drive the heavy-duty test truck and let them know that there was a defect found on the heavy-duty test truck, and they will need to know, that will let them know that they need to check with the OM before they drive, because that could be the next day, that could be the next week, we don't know, it could be the next day. So defect found, complete DVIR, sign as the reporting driver, fill out exactly what was wrong, that email from the DVIR app goes to me, and then it goes to your manager. When your manager gets that, that's an immediate notification that something's wrong with the heavy duty test truck. So he can start his process. He can do what he needs to do to get that heavy duty test truck fixed. All right, so now I want to show you what the DVIR looks like. Here is a copy of what it looks like when you submit it on your phone. So you have your app, you select what's wrong, you sign as the finding driver, and you only do this if a defect is found. So here's an example where they clicked engine, they clicked other, and here you can see where they sign DF. We're going to assume that was Darren Farrell. All right, so DF, he signed this. So that goes to the manager. The manager says, oh my, I have a fuel leak. I need to get that taken care of as soon as possible. And he does what he has to do, and he submits the DVIR through Salesforce as a case. Next day comes around, and it's time for a new driver to jump in the heavy duty test truck. He needs to do his pre-trip. He sees that Darren let everybody know there was a problem with the truck. So the new driver, let's call him Uncle Al. Uncle Al calls up manager and says, hey, I got a text message. What's wrong with the heavy duty test truck? Am I okay to drive it today? And then your manager, in this case is Walter White, and Walter White says, yes, we have that truck fixed. Everything's good to go. And he is going to send you a copy of the PDF that Darren submitted, and he's going to sign off on it as the mechanic and date it and tell you that above defects are corrected. Or it could be that he's going to select above defects need not be corrected for safe operation of the vehicle, and still he would sign and date it. So before you can drive that truck, Uncle Al, you've got to get that signature from the manager on the prior DVR that was showing defects. And then what you're going to do is you're going to sign off on it and send it back to the manager. That's saying that I knew there was a defect, I checked on my pre-trip, and before I drove, I made sure that all the defects were corrected. You're going to sign these using the fill-in sign just as you would when you're doing the work orders. And if anybody needs help on how to do that, I'll be happy to help them, and your managers have instructions. They can help you as well. So again, just a really quick review. Pre-trip, check the DVIR from the previous day. If you got a text message that said there was no defects, you were good to go, you can drive. Your text message just said, yes, there's a defect, you know to check with your OEM. If he tells you there was defects, in either case they've been corrected, or it's safe to drive and they still need to be corrected, you know you've got to get a copy of that PDF with his signature, and then you have to sign that you got that and send that back to the manager. And that's just pre-trip. So then your day goes by, it's time for your post-trip. No defects, send a text message, no defects, heavy duty test truck is good to go. Post-trip, I found defects, there's a problem, I submit my DVIR app, I sign that I'm the reporting driver, I tell you what is wrong with the truck, I send that to manager, and I send that to Heather, and then I notify all my drivers via text that there is a problem with the heavy duty test truck and not to drive. So this is going to let everybody know that there's a problem with the truck. Everybody's going to be on the same page. So don't, if there's a problem with the truck, you want to make sure that folks know about it. You want to make sure that all drivers know about it. Your operations manager knows about it. And then they're going to submit all that information through the system. So I'm going to know about it, and then we're going to make sure that everything is corrected and it goes through the system, and we can kind of do some tracking and trending. We'll always know if there's a problem with a heavy duty test truck, and then we'll be able to see that in the system. So I think that's it. I hope that answers your questions on pre and post trip workflow and how you do the DVIR. Just remember, DVIR is post trip. You only have to submit it if there's a defect, and check your text messages in your pre-trip to make sure that the truck is safe to drive that day. All right. Thanks, guys. You be safe out there. Make sure you're checking your trucks and that you are being safe. Thanks.